Yeah, I will call the meeting to order and begin with the land acknowledgement statement. On Tuesday, August 26, 2025, we acknowledge that this sacred land, on which Smiths Falls is now located, has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation. We are grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We are also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smiths Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. First item of business is the approval of the agenda. Would someone move that we adopt this agenda, please? Jenny, and a seconder? Tori, thank you. All in favor? Thank you. We also have the minutes of our regular Municipal Heritage Committee meeting from Tuesday, August the 12th. If you've had a chance to look at those, would someone move that we accept those minutes, please? Jonathan, and a seconder? Jenny, all in favor? Thank you. Passed. Disclosure of monetary interest, anyone? No, hearing none, we'll go right ahead with the reason for having called this special meeting. We have a heritage alteration permit application for work on the Abel Russell Ward house. And Marie has a report. I'll hand it over to you then, Marie.
Thank you, Chair. Since late June, staff have been working with the property owner of the Abel Russell Ward house regarding the replacement of columns that was started prior to getting the permit. The owner is looking to replace the round columns that are failing with squared columns that more closely reflect the description that's in the actual bylaw under property description. Work had already been started on the front using Douglas fir wood, and the design has been taken from photos that he got from Heritage House Museum. The side and rear porches also have columns that are failing, and the owner is proposing to use fiberglass square columns to replace those so that all the columns will match on all three porches. The front porch will have a little bit more detail, but the side and rear porches will also have those nice squared columns. The deck on the back porch will also need some repair, and it's just the decking boards, the floorboards, and the owner will use wood for that. The owner did get some preliminary information from a heritage professional who indicated that the round columns that were installed at some point reflect a different time period than the square columns. After pre-consulting with our chair and Councillor Rep McGuire, it was thought that since the square columns more closely reflect the description of the original porch, and since the columns on the other porches also need replacing, using square columns would be an appropriate alteration based on photos of the original design. Dorothy, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Just that from the beginning of your report, the Ontario Heritage Act stipulates that before alterations can be made, permission must be received from council.
Yes.
And before council gets permission, if there is a heritage committee, and there is, it has to come to us. We must review it first, and we must make a recommendation to council. Thus, we're meeting today. The owner stopped work when he was asked to and submitted the application, and he would like, if possible, to get the work finished before the winter comes. And that's why we decided to expedite the process of having this meeting rather than waiting until our next regularly scheduled Heritage Committee meeting. So it's open for discussion now. Questions, comments, concerns from the members present?
Just a question.
Yes.
What's the reason for using fiberglass on the other porches?
At cost, I would assume. The ones that he has picked out, the idea was if he's going to put squared ones at the front, he would continue the design around his side porch and his rear porch and put squared columns there. But the fiberglass is less costly, and those columns at the front that he's waiting on finishing, he carved those himself. So to put the same type of columns at the side and the back would be very expensive. And the fiberglass is pretty durable as well. So we did recommend, or we asked him to consider putting the squared so that everything would match. And see, there's a picture in there of his side porch, where there's a square one and there's a round one, and the round one has a base and the square one has nothing, and it looks pretty shabby. And you see in there also, there is a photograph of what the front entrance looked like originally. So what he's done is he's tried to replicate as much as possible the style of those original columns, as opposed to the round ones that he took off.
I can just.
Yes, please, go ahead. Go
Another
right ahead.
comment. I'm fine with the recommendation. I just think it's a shame that our bylaw let us down again. Our rewritten bylaw that we only had done a couple years ago, because I think Marie can correct me. I think it listed the rounded columns as designated.
Yes.
And they were obviously not original if we found older photos. So I just think I don't know what we do with all of that.
Yeah, I
But I
know.
just think it's unfortunate.
But when you look at the photograph, though, on the front page of the photograph that was taken when the bylaw was written, it looks like, it fits in. So I don't know why they assumed.
Wasn't it, and I thought I learned this on the Heritage Walk, it's because the next two houses that were built after this first house were a little bit more modern, and they included the round, and they looked a little bit more stately. So then they adjusted this one so it could look as cool as the next two on the block.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's what I heard on the Heritage Walk from some local folks, was
Okay.
the situation that went
That's a
on.
possibility.
So that was the back and forthy going on, because they're all owned by Frost, but the first one built by Abel Russell Ward. Is that what went on? And then
The stone house was built for Abel Russell Ward, and the
And-
other two were built much later.
by Frost family.
For the Frost.
For the
yes.
for them. For them.
Yeah.
And all of them were owned by the Frost. And
Yes.
so when they built these, then they thought it'd be nifty to
Maybe.
make this one
Yeah.
match that one, was the lore.
Right.
So while I do it without imposing too much, but while I certainly agree with keeping the bylaws so that they keep up, but it's very neat to kind of learn how history moves the way that it does.
Marie, you want to?
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that, through you, Chair. And the round columns represent a different period of history as opposed to the original columns. The Dior
Is that what it is?
sort of period in time of architecture.
Cool.
Yeah.
But if he was replacing identical to what he took down, that wouldn't be a heritage alteration, would it?
Not if he's replacing identical.
Right. So that's why he had to fill out the permit, because he's taking down what in the bylaw was indicated to be a heritage attribute. Am I right in thinking that?
And even in the bylaw itself, under property description, it does talk about the original quote unquote porch that had the square
In the description of the
in
property.
description,
yes.
but under the attributes, it talks about the columns.
That's true, it does.
So what he's put up there more closely reflects that photo from Heritage House Museum that shows the original porch. But you'll see It's very different, the front porch. It was shorter, had a bigger vestibule at the front there. That's all been changed.
It's all gone. More comments? Well, we have three options. The first one is that we can recommend that council approve the changes outlined in the application to replace round columns with square columns, and that the front porch column material is Douglas fir wood and the side and rear column material will be fiberglass, with the decking on the back porch being repaired using wood. And apparently he wants to do the columns first because he's concerned about structural issues. He probably won't get the railings and the decking done this year, but he intends to. Option 2 is that we could advise council to authorize the owner to only use wooden round columns. And option 3 is that we could make an alternative recommendation to council. So we have those three to choose from. So if we don't have any more discussion, I guess we need a motion. Right? Correct? So would somebody like to make the motion, or shall we? Let's first of all say which option we're choosing, and then we'll make a motion.
Yes.
So, John?
Sure. Yeah, I'm in favor of option 1. I think it's a good opportunity to continue to talk about how we want the bylaws to look and how we work with what goes on in town. But I'm also human enough to see that the spirit of this bylaw is to make sure that heritage is respected and that buildings are kept up and that we've got something nice to have inside of our community. And this person's taken a wonderful interest in their building and done a lot of work. So I'm inclined to support them in doing that. But I noticed that it's a little bit out of order what we're doing, but things sometimes are.
Yeah. Okay, Jenny?
I'm okay with option 1 as well.
And Tori?
Option 1.
Okay, all right, so we make that motion that we're going to choose option 1, and we're going to make the motion that I just read out. Do you want me to read it out again? Okay.
Bylaw for this
So
property.
we need a first and second.
Yes, so who makes the motion? Somebody has to move it, Jonathan, and someone has to second it, Jenny. Thank you. And all in favor of the motion? Okay, unanimous, passed. Very good, thank you.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good thing, and we can point to this kind of thing later, that like we're okay with being flexible with how designations work. We want to hear about it. We want to give a hand. We don't want to get in the way, but we want to make sure it's done well, which I think is what's going on here.
Right, and if you do read through his actual application for the permit, he went to a lot of trouble to the standards and guidelines for conservation of heritage properties, and he listed the areas to do with porches that he would and railings and so on. So yes, he certainly did his homework. He did his research, and in the end, he found out more about the original property than we ever knew.
We should see if he plans to do his roof and see what he does with his dentals. It's like the same as town hall.
Yeah, he said he was going to repaint those posts that are there now. He's going to paint them, and he's going to repaint all the woodwork at the front of the house and make it a slightly darker color. He said he didn't like the pure white. Okay, so we're done that. We don't have any project updates today, I don't believe. We'll save that for our regular meeting. Does anyone want to offer up anything for round table? No. So next meeting is Tuesday, September 9th at 4:30. Would someone move that we adjourn then, please? Jenny, and a seconder. Tori, thank you. We are adjourned.
I'll let Tech know.
Yeah, that was